Warning. This podcast episode contains swearing, drinking, references, and somewhat vague descriptions of murder and cannibalism. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to Demons and Bellinis, the podcast where we whip up a drink and talk about some spooky shit. I'm the ghost of the goldfish you killed when you were 5, Molly.
And I'm Satan's cute goth girlfriend, Ashley.
Today, we'll be exploring the wintry case of Swiftrunner in the cold prairies. So grab a beverage of your choosing, get cozy, and check your closet for monsters. And remember, stay peachy! If you hear paper rustling, that's because I'm doing my notes on paper this time and not electronically. So, yeah. Cool. A+. Okay, so we just want to kick off this episode by wishing you all a happy new year. You know, hopefully 2019 is not filled with demons for you. I hope you guys aren't haunted.
1 year closer to the boneyard.
I just whipped.
What year is it?
It's 2019.
2016?
Oh, God, I wish... No, I don't really wish it was. I feel like my life gets better every single year.
The only year I wish it was that, like, the peak of a lot of things is, like, 2007.
I feel like 2008.
Yeah, 2007, 2008 was some good years.
Yeah, no, I feel like the best music came out in, like, 2008 to, like, maybe 2012.
Yeah, and, like, for fashion, like, Alexander McQueen's couple last collections, fashion hasn't been the same since. Sorry,
No.
that's just one of my side passions. I love
Yeah, she really loves fashion.
It hasn't been the same since Alexander McQueen.
So, the case of Swiftrunner. Okay, so, like...
All I know is that you listened to a episode and got super pissed off, and now we're here, and I'm really excited about this.
Okay, yeah, so...
We may as well just call this podcast Demons and Salty Ass Hoes.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so, like...
I keep saying hoes and whores. I don't mean that in, like... You know, like a bad way. I'm just saying that a lot. And I apologize in advance if I keep saying it. In my mind, it was salty ass bitches, but it came out as salty ass hoes.
It's okay. I'm a self-proclaimed, hoe. I have a joke, actually.
You're an honorary hoe.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I forgot the joke.
Fuck's sake.
Yes. Okay. What do you call a slutty psychic? A thought. Bye. See you later.
The hell was that? That joke sucks so bad. I didn't know that. That joke made me sad.
It's supposed to be bad. Oh god. People at my work hate me because I tell so many bad jokes about espresso.
Okay, wait, I want to see if this works. I sound really far away. How about now? Am I going to sound like I'm getting closer? Yeet!
Beautiful. I'm so excited to do that in post-production. If not, I can, like, work at a crescendo, maybe.
I stole that joke.
Okay, so...
Anyone who follows me on Tumblr and you're in my fandom, you know who I stole that from. Anyways, continue.
Okay, so, like, yeah,
I'm sweaty.
You're wearing a sweater. I wasn't going to cover this case initially, because there's, like, somewhat of a debate on whether this specific creature, I'm going to call it, be categorized as a paranormal entity, or, like, a cryptid. But, when I was listening to the, podcast episode, because I was, like, looking for some, wintry cases, and I was just, like, listening to the bus. It was one of the earlier episodes, I should mention, because, like, I know that definitely improved, but, I got a little bit mad over it, so, and, like, and I've noticed this a lot in the way that, even when I was doing research, I ran into this a whole lot, this, like, specific language used, and, it makes me mad, so,
Yeah,
I'm gonna cover it.
No judgment to you Americans, but judgment to you Americans, because it's very much an American thing to use that kind of language.
Actually, I was,
Though, I mean, Canadians can be pretty bad at it, too.
Yeah.
It's a North American problem. It's a colonization problem.
Yeah, because I was watching this video that this, British YouTuber was doing. I'm not gonna mention any names. But, she was covering this one particular case that happened. I think it was in, like, the New York, Ontario, Great Lakes area.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess she was reading off her notes as, like, a lot of copy and pasted, but then she used, like, the term Indian. Okay, so, like, I understand that not everyone takes offense to that. I don't know how it is for the United States, but for us, at least, no one really uses that term because it's not considered appropriate.
Yeah, even, like, Native American people don't typically use that. Like, here it's, like, Aboriginals or First Nation.
Or Indigenous people is what I've heard a lot in universities right now. But yeah, okay, so, like, and she also, this was another thing that also made me really upset, is that in her notes, because, like, I guess there were, like, some spook lights around as well, and she was, like, it was, like, specifically a blue spook light, and she was like, oh, yeah, and it's, like, an Indian chief, and the color blue always reminds me, it kind of makes sense because of, like, the stoic thing, and it's like, that is a stereotype. There is no such thing as a positive stereotype, and it made me so fucking mad.
Jesus.
I actually ended up, reaching out to her on Instagram to be like, hey, that term is really bad.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Damn.
And she did reply. She was really nice about it. She was like, oh yeah, I was just copy and pasting from my notes. I thought I edited it all out. I know that's not the proper term to use. I'm really sorry about that. And I also, like, sent her terms that are okay to use.
Nice.
I didn't bring up the stereotype thing because I felt like I should just pick my battles, and slur was probably the one that I wanted to approach first. But yeah, so it made me really upset. And one of the reasons is because, like, while I am, like, white passing, obviously, my family is, Cree Métis. Like, we're related to Gabriel Dumont, which is, like, this, political figure in the Red River Rebellion. He's really cool. Look him up. Cool guy. Cool beard. But yeah, no, it just really upset me the way that, this is kind of portrayed, because, like, I'm taking a class on, Canadian women specifically, but it's also more generally about minorities in, Canada. And I've taken a lot of courses on Indigenous literature as well. And this is just something that comes up again and again. So, yeah. So, like, just to, like, situate myself, again, in terms of, like, this case, because I feel like it's important. My family is Métis Cree from the area that's now known as Manitoba. And, like, while I'm pretty far removed from the culture, and I wouldn't, obviously, claim to have any kind of authority over it, I somewhat feel like I might be able to bring something else to the case, because usually this is covered by, like, non-Canadians who are usually white.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm white as well, and I'm, like, from, like, southern BC, so again, far removed from that. But I feel like it's somewhat better than being covered by someone else.
Yeah, I'm not one to talk, because, like, my family, on my dad's side, I'm fourth generation Canadian from British immigrants, and on my mom's side, the family goes back to some of the first settlers in the 1700s.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Well, I mean, like,
and, like,
I mean,
listen.
I mean, my family is, like, we're Irish and, like, French, so, like, there's, like, it's far more, like, I'm far more represented in the colonial prospect of Canada than I am in the Indigenous section. But my grandma talked a lot about our family history, so I was somewhat brought up with that knowledge, but also not entirely, because this was also coming from her mother, who is half Indigenous, half white. So, but anyway, sorry. So, like, a lot of the opinions that I'm just gonna, like, have in this preface are from discussions that I've had with Indigenous women in particular over the years in, like, this academic setting. So, like, this is just, like, my opinions on, and, like, somewhat their opinions on the matter. So, like, what ended up happening in, like, is that, like, most times when people discuss matters involving Indigenous people, they tend to at least draw references to something along the lines of, like, only situating Indigenous people in regards to the Western world. Like, I even saw this in, like, the newspaper articles where it was like, oh, Swiftrunner was ruined by his contact with the white people. And it's like, okay, that's, of course, a very important thing to keep in mind when talking about Indigenous people, but it's not the only thing to keep in mind. And when you're only situating Indigenous people in regards to white people, then that's really
You're
fucked.
fucking up.
Yeah. And, like, I noticed that in a couple times. Like, Yeah, like, it's just, like, sets up this narrative that indigenous people only exist in conjunction with the Western world, and, like, yeah, problematic. And, like, secondly...
I'm drinking way too much of a gin smash when I shouldn't, because I'm gonna get in pain.
Yeah, I'm, like, running out of air right now, because I'm just, like...
Take a drink,
yeah. Okay.
Here.
So, like, second, there's, like, again, relating back to the whole, like, blue spook lights things that I discussed earlier, is that a lot of people in the paranormal community, when talking about, like, Indian burial grounds, for example, it always seems to, like, play off of, like, the noble savage trope, or the stoic native, or the chief.
Yeah.
These, like, many tropes, and, like, don't even get me started on the kind of, like, stereotypes that we have based on indigenous women, because that's a majority of the reason, which has led to the murder, like, the missing and murdered indigenous women in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes they're just like, oh, she just ran away, and they don't look for her.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole stereotype that indigenous women aren't good mothers.
Mm.
And, yeah, the official list is quite short, but realistically it's quite a bit longer, and it's just because of neglect that it's not as
gross.
long. Yeah.
Yeah. Even, like, and that's just portrayed as so much in media too. Like, as great as the new Red Dead is, it does this as well, with the whole, like, noble chief image.
I have not played that. I bought it for my dad, but
I love cowboys.
big old butt
Cowboy slut. Looking at Spurs makes me nut.
Okay.
Thank you, Mantia.
Thank you. And so, like the issues that I find with the stereotypes is that it's the only thing depicted with, like, any community. It's, like, totally unfair to dehumanize someone and categorize their entire race as having specific traits.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to that, like, paranormal video that I watched where she was like, oh yeah, blue reminds me of, like, wisdom and stuff. And it's like, again, there are no such things as positive stereotypes. No such thing! Okay.
Yeah.
And, like, at the very worst, people use, like, racial slurs because for some reason people still don't understand that these things are wrong to use, and, like, just, like, be more sensitive to people in a community that don't get that like, they don't get enough recognition as it is.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, the term Indian, it's, like, placing their whole race as something in conjunction with colonialism.
Yeah. And, like, didn't that come from, like, Columbus showing up and being like, oh, I'm in India now.
Oh, yeah. That is why. and like, misconception. And then it's a colonial term, so just, like, fuck that.
Yep.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, into the actual case. I just, like, wanted to talk about that because it was just something that, like, really, really fucking pissed me off.
It's valid. I mean, I screamed about Ghost Adventures being, like, just ignoring a female entity to pursue a male entity. So,
yeah.
We all have it's good to get mad.
Yeah. Okay, so, Swiftrunner, also known as, Kaki Si Kuchin, was an indigenous Cree man who lived in the area that's now known as Alberta, around Fort Saskatchewan particularly, which I thought, like, when I was looking at this research, I was like, wait, is he from Alberta or Saskatchewan? No, there's just apparently a fort in Alberta called Fort Saskatchewan, and that's really confusing to me.
Can you spell Saskatchewan off by heart?
It's written right in front of me, but it's like Saskatchewan.
You're cheating!
I am cheating, but I do know how to spell it. I can write it. But I'm not good at spelling things out verbally, especially since now I'm having gin. Okay, so he worked as a guide for the Hudson's Bay Company and had a wife named Charlotte with 5 or 6 kids. I couldn't really find out. They're all unnamed. So
5 or 6.
Potentially 6. So, like, some people report him as a kind, trustworthy man who loved his family, but others reported him as an abusive alcoholic.
Ooh.
I think from what I gathered, it was, like, somewhat like he was originally trustworthy and, like, a very nice person, but then he got fired, I think, then became an alcoholic.
That'll do it.
Yeah, but again, a lot of them do present him as an alcoholic man from start to finish, which is, again, playing off stereotypes.
It is. Where I'm from in Ontario, that was, like, I heard that all the time growing up from, like, people that I lived with in that town.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm from is not a good place, and I'm very happy I don't live there anymore. Because holy fuck!
Holy fuck. So, like, however, during the winter of 1878 to 79, him and his family, being him, his wife, his children, his mother-in-law, and his brother, traveled to an isolated hunting cabin in the woods. I don't know exactly where these woods are, but in the woods. Now, like, this is, like, kind of, like, a large theme throughout a lot of Canadian stories. But in case you weren't aware, unless you're in, like, our area of Canada, which is, like, southwest coast, winters are, like, incredibly harsh.
Oh, from Ontario.
Mm-hmm. You would know this.
Oh, God. I have gotten frostbite, like, at least 3 times.
Oh, gross. I've never gotten frostbite.
12 feet of snow, minus 40. Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, you find this in a lot of early literature as well. It's, like, characterized by, like, this, like, in a lot of cases, you're going to be, like, trapped in your home behind, like, feet of snow for days on end.
That's not exaggeration. That did actually happen to me once.
After, like, sudden blizzards hit, and it's just, like, this crazy case of cabin fever. It's, like, this whole idea of isolation is something that is so, like, well represented in, like, early Canadian literature.
Yeah. After living here in BC for, like, 10, 11 years, I'm such a pussy now when it comes to winter.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Yeah.
Like, if it's minus 5, I'm like, oh, it's so cold. When I grew up in minus 30.
Oh, yeah. No, like, for us, it's like, if you get, like, maybe, like, a foot of snow, they're like, okay, we're canceling school because no one puts on snow tires.
Yeah, in Ontario.
But then it's like, if the pipes freeze, then we're gonna cut off school. But if you can still walk, you're going to school.
No, I feel like we did have snow days pretty often, but it was, like, if it was, like, 4 feet of snow in one night, that's when it would close.
Okay.
Because then, like, it would take way too long for the plows to, like, clear. I almost spilled my drink.
Please don't. We're in my room.
But it would, like, take way too long for the plows to clear the roads before, like, the start of school. So they just said, screw it, we're just gonna have it closed for that. Those were snow days.
Yeah. So that's, like, modern Canada, but, like, this is more in, like, 1879 Canada.
Minus 30 in 1879 would actually kill me.
Yeah.
I have really small hands, and they get cold really easily. Therefore, natural selection's coming for me, and I'm gonna die.
Yeah. So, like, do you know anything about the Swiftrunner case at all?
Honestly, no.
Do you know anything about the Donner Party?
Yes.
This is where that's going.
Oh.
So that's, like, very incredibly similar to that case.
Oh.
So that spring, Swiftrunner returned back to Fort Saskatchewan and told those around him that during the winter his wife had committed suicide.
Ooh.
And that the rest of the family had died of starvation.
Oh, God.
Leaving him as a sole survivor.
That sounds sketchy.
However, Swiftrunner, a man who stood at about 6'3", did not look like someone who had experienced a hard winter. In fact, he looked as healthy as ever.
Ooh.
So
6'3", that's tall.
Yeah, he's very tall.
That just makes me think, whenever I hear about someone being, like, over 6 feet tall, I just think of that Vine, where it's, like, when he says he's over 6 feet tall, and it's all, like, zooms in on all those people, like, with the praying hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it. So the RCMP led by
these bones. Sorry, continue.
The RCMP led by I don't know how to pronounce this. It has a lot of accents, and I'm really bad at speaking French. It's basically spelled like severe gagnon. Severe gagnon.
I'm gonna severely gag on those nuts.
Please don't.
Sorry. I'm trying. Where is it?
Oh yeah.
Sevier. Yeah, I go with Sevier. Gagnon?
Yeah.
It sounds French.
Yeah, he's a French guy. Traveled with Swiftrunner, along with other members of the police force, to the cabin that he'd stayed at and made a pretty horrific discovery.
Oh.
So
God.
initially, Swiftrunner showed the police the shallow graves where his family had been buried.
Oh God.
However, further inspections found bones scattered about the camp, including the skull of Swiftrunner's wife, Charlotte.
Oh.
Most of the bones were hollow, completely free of the marrow, which had been sucked out. Yeah, sorry, this is like a bit of a gruesome case. I probably should have put up a warning. We're gonna put up a warning anyway, but it's a gruesome case.
Dude, you know I don't do well with gore.
I'm sorry.
Gore makes me nauseous.
When you said like you started with N, I thought you were gonna say nut.
No, I am not into blood. Blood makes me very sick. I would not be a good nurse.
Yeah. So following this discovery, Swiftrunner then began to cooperate with the RCMP about what happened during the winter of that year. During this period of hunger, he'd experienced dreams involving the spirit of the Wendigo.
Ooh.
Compelling him to consume his family.
Wendigos.
Wendibagos. In order to survive the harsh Canadian winter.
Mm.
So, like, there were also some pretty detailed descriptions of how the various members of the family were killed.
Oh, God.
But it's very gruesome, so I'm going to cut that out because big yikes.
I kind of want to read it, though, because
I don't have them in there. I just actually put on big yikes in there.
Because yikes.
Because yikes. I'll send it to you later. You can obviously do further research on this, but, like...
As much as I hate gore, I find these stories just so fascinating.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later.
Like, true crime,
Oh, I love true crime. So, the Wendigo is believed to be a spirit that takes control of the individuals during periods where food is scarce. The afflicted person will develop a taste for human flesh, which is believed to give the eater supernatural powers. This particular spirit is reported within the Cree Nation, as well as the Algonquin and the Ojibwe nations. So Swiftrunner's trial began on August 8th of 1879, and he was convicted as a murderer. Eventually, he was hanged on December 20th of 1879, the first formal hanging that ever took place in Western Canada. And there's this one quote that appears over and over, that this one person who witnessed it said that it was the prettiest hanging he'd ever seen.
The prettiest hanging?
Prettiest, yeah. Yeah.
How? I don't think there's anything pretty about
I think
hanging.
He was, because, I mean, like, the crimes that he committed were so horrible. But yeah, like, if you've ever, like, hangings aren't very...
is it, like, a different use of the word than what we use it now?
Yeah. Maybe. But...
Like, satisfying?
Yeah, satisfying. No, hangings are very messy. That's why a lot of them have, bags over their heads when they hang.
Don't, like, the eyes come out?
Yeah. The eyes pop out of the...
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, a bit going into more Wendigo lore, Wendigos are defined as, like, a spirit in the Algonquin, Cree, and Ojibwe nation to take possession of vulnerable people, causing them to engage in cannibalism and other forms of antisocial behavior. So while some stories... Antisocial is an antisocial disorder, not as an antisocial as an introvert.
That's just where I went first.
Introvert.
I'm not like other girls. I'm antisocial. I like Dr. Who. I love tea. I'm not like other girls who wear makeup. I've had too much gin. I'm sorry.
My Tumblr handle for about 5 years was obsessive introvert.
Yeah, and then you changed that into like
pathetic fallacy.
Yeah, which is like a English lit major thing, and I love it.
Yeah, I actually invited my followers to roast me a while ago, and one of them said that I...
Hello, post-production Molly here. So our microphone randomly decided to cut out this one specific phrase. I don't really know why. I don't know where it went, but I'm pretty sure you got the gist of it. But essentially, this one follower of mine said that I looked like a Super Hulock fan, or an ex-Super Hulock fan, I think was the phrasing. I forget really, but just wanted to add that in there because I thought that the joke was really funny. I didn't want to really cut it out, but I'm rambling now. So, yeah, just wanted to make that correction.
I saw that ass!
I know!
I saw that!
I was so offended. Someone said that I looked like I'd read Homestuck, which I haven't.
That's Sam.
So...
Love you, Sam.
Love you, Sam. But, yeah, that was the one thing that they said that was not true about me. All the other ones were, unfortunately, quite true. But then one of them said that I was a furry, and that one was not true. But I have been called... You've called me a furry before, but that's because you like doing that to me.
You furry-ass Super Hulock-looking motherfucker.
Jesus fucking Christ.
What are those?
Shut up. Okay, so, like, well, I don't even remember what I was talking about.
Sorry, I've had way too much gin.
It's okay. So, antisocial behavior, as in the, that is in, like, a mental state, not as in introverted.
Yeah,
okay.
Not the Tumblr version.
Yeah. So, like, while some stories describe the Wendigo as something that humans can become by eating flesh, others cite it as something that possesses the individual, which is why it could be considered a demonic entity in that respect, which is why I deemed this case okay to cover, because during the trial, Swiftrunner does cite having this entity come to him in the night through dreams, which is actually very common in Wendigo lore.
That's pretty common in a lot of paranormal lore.
Yeah.
Where, like, entities appear to people in dreams. Like, dreams seem to be this kind of, like, window.
Oh, 100%. That's how you, the easiest way to astral project is actually through lucid dreaming. which I've been trying to get a hold of. I've only lucid dreamed a couple times, but it's...
I've only had sleep paralysis, and I've seen clowns.
Yeah. I've never had sleep paralysis, which is good. I actually sleep with a sleeping mask on, so hopefully that would kind of...
That's what I normally, like, that's how I should be sleeping, but I just don't.
I'll buy you a sleeping mask.
No,
for
I have
Christmas.
one. I'm irresponsible.
Yeah.
I don't take care of myself.
I also sleep with, like, amethyst under my pillow to kind of promote that. So anyway, in appearance, they are gaunt creatures with antlers sticking out of their head. They've appeared in a couple different TV shows, such as Supernatural, Hannibal, and
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, but that's not a TV show.
That's a video game, but...
Video game, but really good.
Yeah.
Fucking love that video game. That one was really cool.
Titties!
Was there any titties in Until Dawn?
There was, like, tops of titties.
There were tops of titties, yeah.
There was suggested titties.
There was the impression of titties.
Yeah.
But there was no nipples.
Were there any female-presenting nipples?
Shut up.
Get your female-presenting nipples out of my Christian server!
Okay, so, Swiftrunner is also basically the poster child for the Wendigo psychosis, which is what this is called, which is a mental disorder particular to the northern Algonquin people. In the psychosis, diagnosed in the early 1900s, but hotly disputed in psychological literature, people are said to experience themselves possessed by the Wendigo spirit and, like, plagued by violent dreams and a compulsion to resort to cannibalism. And this is, like, importantly distinguished from famine cannibalism. So, like, though it's, like, in the wilderness during the winter, like, Swiftrunner did have access to other food when he turned into a Wendigo. Turned into Wendigo, I say with quote-unquote. Yeah, so, like, an author of a 1916 report on the phenomenon said that he had known a few instances of this turn of mind, and not one instance could plead hunger, much less famine, as an excuse of it. Yeah, I'm also reading this off of copy and pasted because I couldn't put this into really better words, but yeah, so, like, the other explanation for this is basically that there's this psychosis that occurs in the dead of winter when you resort to cannibalism. So I actually also have a quote here. This quote here from Jesuit Relations in 1661. This is translated from French, so this is not the exact words that they used, but yeah. They reported that what caused us greater concern was the intelligence that met us upon entering the lake, namely that the men deputed by our conductor for the purpose of summoning the nations to the North Sea, assigning them a rendezvous where they would await our coming, had met their death the previous winter in a very strange manner. Those poor men, according to the report given to us, were seized by an ailment unknown to us, but not very unusual among the people we were seeking. They afflicted with neither lunacy, hypochondria, nor frenzy, but have a combination of all these species of disease which affects their imaginations and causes them a more canine hunger. This makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men, like veritable werewolves, and devour them voraciously, without being able to appease or gulp their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily more they eat, this ailment attacks their deputies, and as the death is the sole remedy among those simple people for checking such as acts of murder, they were slain in order to stay the course of their madness. I'm sorry if I couldn't read that. I'm all very well. I'm drunk.
So am I.
Yeah, so, like, that's, like, a very common thing where you have this ever hunger in this particular paranormal entity. So what do you think? Do you think the explanation here for Swiftrunner's case was that he possessed by a spirit, or was he just under the psychosis, or was he just a plain murderer?
Oh gosh. Okay. There's, like, an answer for yes and no, because, like, you could argue that law in particular, like colonizer law, loves to just, like, throw legends and beliefs and culture and all that stuff out the window and just ignore it and just apply their own law.
Oh yeah, because you did mention the Wendigo affiliation in his trial, but then of course it wasn't taken into consideration.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that 3 different nations include the same, or, like, the same kind of story or idea, or, you know, like, mythos, because, like, I find that so fascinating when different cultures that don't normally interact with each other share the same kinds of ideas.
I believe they are in a very similar area, though.
Yeah, but they weren't necessarily, like, you know, like, yeah. It's kind of like how the stories of ghosts are all around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, and it has been that way for thousands of years, and it wasn't until, like, with the internet that we finally started realizing that's, like, oh yeah, we do share all of these different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then on the other hand, it's like, it is possible that he did kill all of those people, you know? And, like in a, oh, I don't know how to phrase this. I drank way too much gin. You know, in that kind of state, you know, it would feel like, you know, you were possessed by something when it was just your own psychosis, right?
What I did find very interesting about the case is that what a lot of the reports mentioned is that when he was confronted with the bones when he brought them to the cabin, he basically immediately broke and, like, told them everything.
Damn.
And he, like, even reported how he had, which is how we know about the gruesome details, how he had killed all these members of his family. He even cited, I found this one quote particularly fucked up, which is why I didn't include it, but, like, I'm just going to include it now anyway. But he cited his mother-in-law as being particularly tough to kill. And then her being stubborn. So, to a certain extent, it's, like, it was kind of odd that he was able to just, like, he just, like, brings it all out, like, very, like, he just lays it all out. Like, when he was going up to the stand, he, like, mentioned, like, I'm not a man anymore. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer.
Mm-hmm. But is it even for us to answer? I don't really think it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to cover this case in a way that didn't include Indian as a slur or had any stereotypes associated with it, which is, I know that this maybe seems like a little bit disconnected with, like, how I had this whole preface before, but it's just because I wanted to talk about these issues. Yeah.
I think you did it.
Cool. So I feel like I know what the answer is to this question because we've asked it every single time. You've always said no. Particularly with this case, I don't think anyone really wants to, but would you share a Bellini with this, sir?
Like, I know some people don't like their mother-in-laws, but damn, do you really have to say it like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was also his brother, his 5 or 6 children.
5 or 6.
5.5 children, and his wife Charlotte, who's the only one who was named for some reason, but that's just besides the point.
No. I'm sorry. I'm disappointed.
No, I'm not disappointed. I felt like I knew the answer before we went into this.
I have very high standards for Bellinis.
Mm-hmm. Only fierce nails will do it for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Claw
all we have time
my
for
eyes out
today.
and heck me up.
I was going to yell something, but now I'm not going to because I feel like it would be very inappropriate.
Fuck my pussy with the ring, Mom!
Shut up! Fuck my pussy with the long nails, Mom. Yeah, so, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Sorry for... Oh, it's not even that long of an episode. We're good. Sorry for the bit of the disconnect. I just really wanted to cover this, and I thought it was a little bit appropriate because now we're in January, we're in the winter, dead of winter. Thought it would be kind of fun to bring in that whole cabin fever idea because that psychosis is a very interesting one to cover.
Stay warm, folks.
Yeah.
And make sure you stock up on macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Drink lots of hot cocoa.
Hope you had a great holiday.
Yeah, don't eat your family.
Winter break. Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty. Do we have anything else to, like, talk about? Oh, we have a coffee page up now. Which I know, which was a while ago, but we record these episodes pretty far in advance.
Please buy us a coffee.
Yeah,
or a future mic.
Yeah, because, like, I didn't know this going into, like, putting our podcast up on these certain websites, but 2 of the websites that we put up our podcasts on have a certain limited amount of hours before you have to start paying, and that means that our earlier episodes won't be available, so we'd really like to purchase premium plans with that. Because, like, SoundCloud is $180 for unlimited time. A year. Yeah. And, yeah. We also want to get new mic equipment so that we can do the... we might even make this a visual podcast at some point because I'm buying a camera soon, which will be very fun.
Yes, you can actually
see us dabbing.
Watch me be drunk instead of just hear us drunk. You can watch me try to sit up on my own.
It's beautiful. It's really a marvelous experience. Yeah, and then you'll see all of the beautiful fashions. Right now, I am wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a dark red lip. I basically look like I'm trying to emulate Harry Styles, but like...
You look great, and I look like
I like
ass.
those roses, though.
I wear this hoodie everywhere. It is covered in makeup and concealer
and tears.
Ass and pain.
Kinky. But yeah, no, Happy New Year. I hope you listen to Code 1033. And, yeah, take care, support us on Coffee. Maybe we'll release some, like, premium content. Like, there's a possibility that we could do our sound tests, which are always really fun.
Our sound tests are horrible.
Yeah, it's basically, like, the first thing that we record just so we can, like, make sure that the mic is working, okay? That's always really fun. We can record, we can release, like, our completely unedited stuff so you hear just all of our fumbling. Because I have to edit us.
If people want to hear
that. Yeah, our uncensored versions, so you can hear us saying
ass, shit, fuck, dick. Yeah. I said dick twice.
You said twice too. Yeah. So if you're listening to this on the raw, you'll hear us all saying that. But if you're listening to us on any other platform, that's all can be bleeped. Yeah, and. We also want to get merch out at some point. We were actually talking about merch ideas. We don't know if we will, but if that's something that you're interested in, let us know. Email us at demonsandbellinis@gmail.com.
Yay.
And we'll catch y'all on the flip side. Bye!
Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and we hope that you enjoyed the episode. This episode features the voices of Molly Lorette and Ashley Smith. Our theme music was composed and produced by Larry Lorette. Our cover image was designed by Ashley Smith, and sound editing was done by Molly Lorette. Have any comments, concerns, or cases you want us to cover? Email us at demonsandbellinis@gmail.com. You can also find us at Demons and Bellinis on Tumblr, Demons and Bellinis on Instagram, and at DBellinis on Twitter. That's capital D and capital B. You'll also be able to find case pictures tweeted out there and posted to our Instagram. Also, make sure that if you like what we do here, drop us a donation at Coffee, which you can find through our Twitter. Thanks again, and we hope that you keep your ears open.